let's talk about Crosby. Is he among let's say the best players in the world now? And I guess my question too is what makes Sidney Crosby great? Because I think it's a lot about his leadership skills and the way he carries himself. There's no one really like him, I believe, in the NHL. But what are your thoughts?
So I would pick up guys similar like Gretzky or Michael Jordan from the NBA. You're like, we're talking about like the best of their field, right? And I think it's fair to say that Sidney Crosby is one of the best that the NHL has ever seen. I'm not a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. It sucks every time he scores against your favorite team, but like he's just that good, you know? He's just that talented. And I think you can see with him that like he loves hockey. Like whether he's playing it, watching it, practicing it, learning something new about it, you can just tell that the guy like lives and breathes hockey. And like you notice where, I don't know if you guys watched the Last Dance Netflix documentary with the Chicago Bulls, obviously. Michael
Yes,
Jordan was the
yes.
exact
Amazing.
same. He lived and breathed basketball every moment he got. He was always trying to find a way to get better, and he was always trying to find a way to improve the skills that he already was world class at. So you see these guys, and I feel like it takes something else to keep doing that 10, 15 years into your career. Like the fact that he still loves the sport this much. He's not the kind of guy to just take a night off. Like most guys that are earning $5-6 million a year, there's going to be nights where they take a night off and they go, you know what, I might not be feeling 100%. I'm just not feeling like it's not my game today. So you know what, I'm just going to coast a little bit. Like that's a natural thing to do, because if you're going over an 82 game season, you can't play at 150% every single game of the season. So you've got to regulate yourself and make sure that, you know, you give yourself the best position to succeed over the long stretch as opposed to the first 10 games of the season. But with Sidney Crosby, like, he is single-handedly keeping the Pittsburgh Penguins afloat. Like he's the only guy I think is the one that really still cares sometimes. Like you look at some of the performances they've had, like a lot of the players just look lost on that roster. And obviously they've had a lot of turnover in their front office this last offseason and even since the season started. But yeah, I think just the fact that you can tell he loves the sport and he wants to keep getting better, regardless of how many years he's been playing, the number of cups he's won, the number of individual awards. The guy just lives and breathes hockey, and that's such as a fan, like you can understand why somebody looks up to a player like that and goes, I want to be like him, because it's not just he's a world-class talent, but his talent alone hasn't been the thing that's got him all this success. His talent alone maybe would have got him a cup, maybe would have got him a couple of trophies, maybe would have got him an Olympic gold medal. We see lots of players that come through the NHL. Their talent alone gets them a fair amount, depending on how solid of a hockey player they are. But it's the fact that he puts the work in every day as well. That's something that you've got to respect, whether you're a fan, a player, or just kind of a casual observer of the sport. Is the same with Michael Jordan. Are there qualities to them that might rub some people the wrong way? Potentially, absolutely. Like it's difficult to kind of, especially using the Michael Jordan analogy again, keep the same group of players in the locker room and keep them all happy for half a decade. That's a difficult thing to do, especially when you've got clashing personalities and players might not be earning as much money as they think they should be, or they've won a couple of cups with or championships with your roster and they think they're earn themselves a payday, or playing on the first line with the best players. And there's a lot of, obviously, the nitty gritty into it and a lot of different factors that go into it. But you look at a guy like Crosby, and yeah, I know he's got the reputation as kind of a crybaby in the league, and like he all of this stuff. But you got to respect a guy like that just manages to go out and play his best game every single game, and especially considering all the injury troubles he had quite early on in his career, all the concussion issues and everything. It's similar with McDavid recently. They both had really serious injuries that they managed to come back from and somehow play even better than before. Like that's incredible to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can I just add just one quick thing on Crosby? From what I've seen, he has the ability to make any line mate a better player.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like when you think about who he's played with, you know, Chris Kunitz, Brian Rust, Jake Gensel. I mean, don't get me wrong. These are all great players, but like, it's not like, I don't feel, it's not like, you know, you get, you know, if you're Crosby's line mate, you get, you know, quite a few points just by, you know, putting your stick on the ice. Though I find Crosby, you know, actually really helps him develop though. He's not like a one-man show. Crosby.
No, absolutely not. I mean,
no, he's maybe he's the lead, but he's not
for sure. Like I
solo.
think he's the prime example of somebody that leads by example. Like look at the amount of goals he scored compared to the amount of times he's setting up his line mates to score a goal. Like he would much rather take credit for assisting somebody than scoring, which that just shows prime leadership. Like he doesn't need the spotlight. He's in it because he's a world-class talent, but he doesn't necessarily need the spotlight. He just wants to go out on the ice and play hockey and win some games for his team and maybe even win a championship. Like that's so important. Yeah, of course, he's getting paid a lot to do it and he's the face of hockey and has been the face. I'm sure he doesn't complain too much about that. But also there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that, right? And I think kind of going back to the kind of initial conversation we had about this, comparing McDavid to Crosby, I think there's two different conversations that we need to be had regarding comparing these two players. Comparing these two players like as the best players in the world right now, Conor McDavid's the best player in the world right now. I have no problem saying that. If we're going like purely skill for skill, Conor McDavid, he's the best player in the world. Like what he does, he's an incredible player to watch, and he's the kind of guy that will stop you in your tracks when you're watching him. You can only focus on where he is and what he's doing with the puck. But if we're talking about the player that's had the best legacy or is going to have had the best legacy by the end of their career, Conor McDavid's got a long way to catch up. So I don't think we can call him the best player of the last couple of generations. He might get there, but there's still plenty of time in his career for him to either catch up to or surpass Crosby's legacy. Because Crosby, he's carved himself an incredible legacy. And I don't think just because he's on the wrong side of 30 and kind of approaching his mid-30s, getting towards the latter years of his career, I don't think his entire career should be discounted or him not be considered one of the best players in the world still, just because he's not as fast as McDavid is now. Like McDavid was drafted like 10, 12 years after Crosby was. Like, of course, they're not going to be the same player. They come from different generations of hockey players. So, but yeah, it's such a fascinating conversation to have. And it's always really interesting hearing Oilers and Penguins fans have the conversation because, the bias just creeps in there and you love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.